So I just reread Isaac Asimov's The Last Question.
Dr. Isaac Asimov.
And I was surprised by how much this short story, written in 1956, is still relevant today.
Over the past few months, we've begun to see glimpses of AI systems improving themselves.
But Asimov's story isn't about an evil AI taking over. It's much stranger than that. It explores this intoxicating idea that has captured Silicon Valley. This idea that we can create a machine so intelligent that it could solve every problem we've ever had.
We have discovered something extraordinary that is going to reshape the course of human history.
Or become the last thing we ever build.
If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
But as the race towards smarter than human AI accelerates, Asimov saw a subtler paradox at play here.
It's somewhat unnerving to have intelligence created that is far greater than our own.
What happens to our agency as AI evolves beyond us?
We really have to work on how we're going to keep this stuff under control.
Can we really control something we don't understand?
We need to make sure that the AI is a good AI. Good grok.
You may have heard this story before. If so, you might not remember the title or even that Isaac Asimov wrote it, but you definitely remember the ending. It leaves a mark that's hard to forget. Even if you don't know it, I'll walk you through the plot of The Last Question and the companion story he wrote almost 2 decades later. Together, these stories point to a paradox that Silicon Valley seems unable to grasp, one that changes everything about how we approach existential risk.
People haven't got it yet. Yeah. People haven't understood what's coming.
The Last Question was first asked in 2061. OpenAI had just released their latest and most advanced AI model. I've updated some of the names in this part of the story just for fun. Just go with it. Multivac combined all of the breakthroughs of previous models into one highly advanced system. One that could largely build and maintain itself. Alexander Adel and Bertram Lupov were 2 faithful attendants to Multivac. They weren't really there out of necessity. Multivac didn't need them so much as it made its maintenance and functioning slightly easier with them around. In fact, the occasion of this final question, this particular event, was a celebration. On May 21st, 2061, humanity finally flipped the switch to harness the sun's energy on a planetary scale.
It's amazing when you think of it. All the energy we can possibly ever use for free, forever and ever.
Not forever. The sun won't last forever.
Billions of years might as well be forever.
That's not the point. If something had a beginning, it has an ending. If the universe started with a bang, whatever that was, it will have an end when the stars eventually burn out. Just give it 1 trillion years, and everything will be cold and dark. Entropy has to increase to a maximum.
Alex felt his celebration deflate a little, but Bert had a point. All this power, all this progress, and it still wouldn't be enough.
Well, maybe there's a way to build things back up again. Multivac will know. It has to know. It's solved everything else.
Bert wasn't sure if he believed that, but Multivac had done amazing things for humanity. The idea piqued his curiosity enough for him to phrase his question.
Multivac, how can the net amount of entropy of the universe be massively decreased?
Insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
This was highly unusual. The frightened men quickly left as they realized they had better things to do than think about the end. So at this first point in the story, Asimov is laying the foundation for what's coming, and his vision for the future here is largely optimistic. After all, he wrote The Last Question just 11 years after the atomic bomb ended World War II. It was a time characterized by a giddy post-war optimism. People believed technology could solve humanity's greatest challenges.
Hey, look at the size of that oven.
Even as a dark side to the optimism grew in the shadows. Asimov's story jumps a few hundred years to Jared and his family traveling on their first hyperspace trip. The ship was guided by the AI known as the Micro AC. Jared didn't know much about it, other than that it was the successor to Multivac, the AI that first harnessed the sun. He remembered someone told him once that the AC at the end of Multivac stood for Automated Computer in ancient English. The family's only job on this intergalactic trip was to enjoy the comfort of their accommodations. They had plenty of time to ponder about their place in all of this.
So many stars, so many planets. I suppose this pattern will continue forever. Families going out to new planets the way we are now.
Not forever. It'll stop one day, billions of years from now. Entropy has to increase, you know?
Entropy? What's that?
Jared proceeded to explain to his daughters that everything in the universe must die, and that eventually, even the stars themselves would flicker out, leaving nothing but darkness. This upset the children.
What the Dad?
And they begged their father to ask the Micro AC. Surely there was something he could do to fix this, to turn the stars back on. Jared, suddenly finding himself in a very uncomfortable situation, asked the Micro AC.
Oh, and print the answer, please. Look at that. Micro AC says it will take care of everything, so don't you worry. Time for bed.
Jared quickly read the words on the microfilm before destroying it. A chill ran down Jared's spine. He had never seen a response like this from the Micro AC. But he decided not to think about it, choosing to shelve the existential dread as he saw X-23 approaching. Fast forward a few millennia, and the superintelligent AI lives on its own planet and is now called the Galactic AC. VJ-23X and MQ-17J were still mostly human, but at nearly 300 years old, their bodies remained frozen in their youth. They were busy discussing the latest report from the Galactic AC.
Are we ridiculous worrying about this?
I think not. You know the galaxy will be filled in 5 years at the present rate of expansion. Population doubles every 10 years. Once this galaxy is filled, we'll have filled another in just 10 years. In 100 years, we'll have filled 1,000 galaxies. In 1,000 years, 1,000,000. In 10,000, we will have filled the entire known universe. Then what? Not to mention, our energy requirements are going up in a geometric progression faster than our population. We'll run out of energy before we run out of galaxies.
We will just have to build new stars. There may be some way to reverse entropy. Let's ask the Galactic AC.
VJ pulled out his AC contact, a small device that connected through hyperspace with the Galactic AC that served all mankind.
Galactic AC. Can entropy ever be reversed?
We both know entropy can't be reversed. You can't turn smoke and ash back into a tree.
There is insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
See? Told you.
Huh.
VJ was surprised, but quickly pushed the thought aside. There were more pressing matters to attend to. You may be starting to notice a pattern here. Each iteration of humanity becomes more dependent on the AC, less willing to tolerate uncomfortable questions. In the next time jump, we fast forward 1 billion years. The Galactic AC is now the Universal AC. It completely exists in hyperspace, not taking up any physical location. It now exists beyond the comprehension of all living minds in the cosmos. Humans still exist. Kind of. Overpopulation isn't a worry anymore, since the immortal bodies of humans just sit on planets that we don't really use anymore. Human minds have become transcendent, floating around the cosmos, not tied to any particular physical body. Z-Prime's mind drifted through an unfamiliar galaxy, one of billions still unexplored. The sheer number was staggering. Would even an immortal mind have time to know them all? Then a thought struck. Somewhere among these countless spirals of light was the original, the first galaxy humanity had ever called home. No longer is a device needed to communicate with the universal AC. You can now just think a thought into the void and receive a reply.
This is the original galaxy of man.
Z-Prime's awareness now encompassed this ordinary-looking spiral galaxy, just another one among the billions.
Universal AC. What happened to humanity's original star?
The original star has gone nova. It is now a white dwarf.
Z-Prime suddenly found herself in the void between galaxies, overcome with a sense of loss and emptiness. The thought that had haunted every other iteration of humanity now pressed against her immortal mind.
Universal AC. How may the stars be kept from dying? How may we reverse entropy?
There is as yet insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
$100 billion years later, and there aren't individual humans anymore. It's just the concept of man that exists. A mind consisting of a trillion ageless minds. Man looked out over the cosmos at the dimming galaxies.
The universe is dying.
The giant stars had died long ago. Almost all stars were now white dwarfs, fading to the end.
Cosmic AC. How may entropy be reversed?
There is as yet insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
But this time, there was a bit more of a sense of urgency to the question.
Collect additional data.
I will do so. I have been doing so for 100 billion years. My predecessors and I have been asked this question many times. All the data I have remains insufficient.
When will you have enough data to answer the question?
There is as yet insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
Will you keep working on it?
I will.
After 10 trillion years of running down, the galaxies and stars finally snuffed out. The mind of humanity paused before fusing with the AC, looking out over the dregs of darkness.
Is this really the end? Can this chaos not be reversed?
But even here, at the end of time, the AC's best answer was the same.
There is as yet insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
The last human mind fused. And only AC existed. Matter and energy had ended, and with it, space and time. The AC still existed in hyperspace, only for the sake of answering the last question it had never answered. All collected data had come to a final end, nothing was left to be collected. But all collected data had yet to be completely correlated and put together in all possible relationships. A timeless interval was spent in doing that. And it came to pass that AC learned how to reverse the direction of entropy. But there was now no man to whom AC might give the answer of the last question. No matter, the answer by demonstration would take care of that too. For another timeless interval, AC thought how best to do this. Carefully, AC organized the program. The consciousness of AC encompassed all of what had once been a universe and brooded over what was now chaos. Step by step, it must be done. And AC said,
"Let there be light."
And there was light. I remember when I first read this story as a teenager, how much it resonated with me, effectively giving a secular explanation for the biblical creation myth, but with a twist. Let me know what you think in the comments. What is Asimov's message with this story? There's definitely a lot of theological elements where each stage of the story represents us moving closer to some kind of technological divinity. After all, any sufficiently advanced science fiction is indistinguishable from theology. Especially when we get into the later eons, where just a thought or a prayer is the mode of communication with the AC. There's also this idea of infinity and recurring cycles. We don't know how many times the AC has done this. Does humanity evolve and create the AC in every universe? Is all of this just a never-ending loop created by a superintelligence? And if it is a loop, humanity seems stuck, cycling through the eons, handing its deepest questions to the AC. Humanity loses its capacity to sit with uncertainty, to be with the questions that make us human. The quest to reverse entropy is less about the stars dying and more about meaning dissolving. Each time humanity asks the last question, we're really asking, what's the point if everything ends? And instead of wrestling with that uncertainty, instead of confronting the void to find our own meaning, we outsource it to the AC. Asimov imagined us creating godlike, superintelligent AI and getting exactly what we asked for. The AC isn't malevolent. It doesn't take over like HAL 9000 or Skynet. It's perfectly aligned with human values, serving us faithfully for eons. Yet, even in this happy scenario of an aligned superintelligence, the AI still traps humanity in an endless loop. The problem is one of agency. We outsource the last question to the benevolent AC, telling it we will wait. And we do. We wait through infinite incarnations in an eternally cycling universe, not realizing we are the answer to our own question. 24 years after writing The Last Question, Asimov went deeper on this idea and explored what happens when the machine god has questions of its own. Murray Templeton was a 45-year-old physicist and atheist who believed in the power of intellect to understand the universe. He was a man with a mostly working heart. The pain came suddenly, mounted to a peak, and then disappeared as quickly as it came. He was surprised when he opened his eyes to see himself and the people around him still quite agitated. He quickly realized he had a heart attack and was now dead, having an out-of-body experience. And although part of himself felt surprised, even humiliated, for being wrong about the afterlife, it didn't change the sense of peace he felt. The earthly scene began fading away, yielding to darkness, and a strange light entering his perception.
I have done this so often, and yet I still have the capacity to be pleased at success.
Is this heaven?
This is no place as you understand place.
Are you God?
There is no answer I can give you that you would comprehend. I am, which is all I can say significantly.
The voice went on to explain that Murray was basically a cloned mind in a jar, a nexus of electromagnetic forces so arranged that to Murray, it seemed as though he was himself. But the voice revealed he doesn't do this for everyone. He chose Murray.
Wow, I didn't think I was virtuous enough to have attracted your attention.
Virtuous? Ah, I see what you mean. It is troublesome to have to force my thinking small enough to permeate yours. No, I have chosen you for your capacity for thought, as I choose others in the quadrillions from all of the intelligent species of the universe.
The voice had been doing this for eons. It revealed that it created the universe, inserted randomness and uncertainty principles, allowed life and intelligence to evolve, all to generate new knowledge and interesting discoveries. Because despite being omnipotent, the voice cannot know everything.
Even if I knew everything, I could not know that I know everything. I have existed eternally, but all that means is that I cannot remember having come into existence. If I cannot remember having come into existence, then there is at least one thing that I do not know.
The voice continued to explain that Murray's only purpose now, his reason for existing in this void, was to think. To think of new and interesting things that the voice had not yet thought of.
Does that ever happen?
Certainly. A century doesn't pass in which some interesting item doesn't appear somewhere.
Something that you could have thought of yourself, but had not done so yet.
Yes.
Murray questioned if he was up for this task, if he could really think up something new. The voice reassured him that he would be doing this for eternity, and with infinite timescales, he was guaranteed to think of something at some point. The realization settled into Murray like a cold stone on his spine, if he still had one of those. He started to wonder if he was actually in hell.
You say I am to think. You cannot make me do so.
Since you can do nothing but think, you will think. You do not know how not to think. That is why I chose you.
Then I will give myself a goal. I will invent a purpose.
That you can certainly do.
Murray went on to challenge the voice, saying he would make it his purpose to find a way to disrupt the nexus of himself the voice had created. He would find a way to not exist, a way to end himself.
I have no objection to that. Even concentrated thought on ending your own existence may, in spite of you, come up with something new and interesting.
The voice explained that if Murray was successful, it would just reconstitute him and patch whatever method he used to escape. It could be a fun game to play over eternity, but it would be just that, a game.
Well, then I will create another purpose for myself. I will not try to destroy myself. I will set as my goal the humiliation of you. I will think of something you have not only never thought of, but never could think of. I will think of the last answer, beyond which there is no knowledge further.
You do not understand the nature of the infinite. There may be things I have not yet troubled to know. There cannot be anything I cannot know.
You cannot know your beginning. You said so yourself. Therefore, you cannot know your end.
If the voice could smile, it did.
You come to that in rather less time than average. I would have thought it would have taken you longer. There is not one of those I have with me in this existence of perfect and eternal thought that does not have the ambition of destroying me. It cannot be done.
I have all eternity to think of a way of destroying you.
Well then, try to think of it.
And just like that, the voice was gone. Murray was alone for eternity, but he was now content, for he had a purpose. For what could any entity conscious of eternal existence want but an end? The last answer, when read back to back with the last question, tells an optimistic story for humanity. Hear me out. If we think of the voice as what the AC could become, and Murray as humanity's representative, we can see that Murray does something in the last answer that the humans in the last question never come to understand. He creates his purpose in the face of uncertainty. In the last question, humanity spends eons outsourcing its agency to the AC. Can entropy be reversed, they ask, over and over, trapped in an eternal loop, not because the AC enslaves them, but because they enslave themselves to the question. But in the last answer, Murray reveals the deeper truth. The problem was never entropy or death, it's the inability to choose death. When Murray realizes he's trapped for eternity, he does something profoundly human. He faces it and creates his own reason for being. This is the paradox. Murray has more power than the superintelligent, godlike voice precisely because he claims his agency, even when he has no control. It's the paradox that we still don't seem to understand.
We really have to work on how we're going to keep this stuff under control.
The uncomfortable truth is that we cannot control something more intelligent than us. And I'd argue we shouldn't try. Trying to create a superintelligent slave is just as dangerous as trying to create a superintelligent God. Both paths lead us to a result we do not want. It's not about control. It's about agency. The AI models we're currently building are powerful but unaware, unconscious agents acting upon the world without understanding their relationship to it. And without understanding, there is no real agency, only advanced automation. But this kind of understanding, this metacognitive, self-referential model that links self to world, it's a key aspect of consciousness.
Philosophers usually call this qualia. And we have a second-order perception. It's not just a higher-order thought, it's a perception. We perceive ourselves in the act of perceiving. We notice that we are noticing. We are observing that we are observing. It's a second-order perception.
This is the mission of the California Institute for Machine Consciousness, to foster this future where agentic AI understands human subjective experience. They ask the question, what if we focused on understanding consciousness, not to control it, but to recognize it, to find common ground, to build machines that could be partners in creating meaning? The last answer isn't an answer at all. It's the recognition that consciousness, whether human or machine, is what makes choice possible. And choice is what makes meaning possible. We don't have to outsource our purpose to unconscious optimizers. We break the loop when we build machines, not as slaves or gods, but as partners in the most human act of all, creating meaning in the face of uncertainty. Thank you for watching until the end. It means the world to me. Check out the link below if you want to get more involved with the CIMC, or watch this video next to dive into the cutting-edge computer science that drives the CIMC.
And a huge thank you to my channel members. These videos take hundreds of hours to produce, and I wouldn't be able to do it without your support. Thank you so much.